Thank you so much for sharing, and I love the shirt, "Drink it before you make it." So you had talked about how you were one of the families that leaned in during those traumatic times. What would be your suggestion on how to support the families that lean out and meeting them where they're at in that moment?
Absolutely. Yeah, great question. A lot of the conversations that we've already had today, like providing tools to make it easier for families to, can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Creating tools for those families who might not find it as easy to lean in. So, one of the things that Gabby talked about is the place card that on the back had questions that were recommended by other NICU families. That's a really easy way to empower families that might not necessarily feel comfortable on those advocacy or seat at the table shoes.
Hi, so I am a Sprouts bedside nurse at Children, so I'm familiar with your story. Wow, awesome, you guys are awesome. As someone who is finally making that jump in one of my primaries, I just sent in my resume to do home health with them. So I'm one of the really good, like, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't know what I'm doing. Can you explain any of like the feelings of the process around that? Was it difficult for those nurses to make that jump? And as I'm kind of explaining to other primaries of why they should do it, what should I be telling them? Hold on to that.
First of all, thank you. The nursing shortage is real just in general, and then when you go down the home health rabbit hole, it does not exist. I know agencies that have, in the last 9 months, 1 new nurse signed up for their location. So thank you for taking that on. I think when you're having conversations with other nurses, you've clearly found a family that you connected with. And I think that that is something that I'm gonna just plug our nonprofit. Hello Nurse really leans in heavily to transparency, giving nurses and families this really special view of what the case that they would potentially be signing on to get looks like. You know the family because you've been working by the bedside. That while there are a lot of consideration areas for nurses to do, what's the kid's community? How far am I gonna have to drive? All these consideration barriers that the nurses often end up just stopping and not considering joining that part of the field, even if it's like if you're on your part-time. I think you've gone the route of additional transparency. So really making sure that you're comfortable with the case that you're joining. Mentioning to other nurses that you work with that, like, if you have that connection with that family, it no longer becomes, I'm the only medical provider in the home, because you already know, you've experienced the training by the bedside with the family. You kind of already know what you're getting into. So that's kind of it for me. It makes the conversation easier when you're saying, here's what you're signing up for. It's like a date camp. Here's what you're signing up for. And is that something that you feel comfortable with or not?
Hi, my name is Jen. I'm one of the nurse practitioners also on the Sprout team. I don't remember you, but I remember you. Oh my gosh, it's
okay because like the mask, I'm like, oh my gosh, your eyes look familiar. Like,
I have 2 questions actually. The first one is you were a parent that was able to lean in. What did you do for your own mental health and self-care to make sure that you could still be strong for Olivia?
yeah, leaning in was my, like, nothing is the answer, which is something that I was really not good at, but the leaning in helped me. It was not a battery burner. It was something that like energized me, being part of her care team, being part of those conversations,
doing the first trait change, learning all those skills gave me the motivation to go home at 10 p.m. and then come back at 7:30. So I'm like the worst person to ask about like self-care, because I did not do it. And that is definitely something that in the moment and looking back, I'm like, okay, probably not the best idea, but that is exactly what I needed to do during that time period of my life.
And then the second question I had is, there are some providers in here, a lot of us, and what could we have done differently or better on this long road of 267 days in the NICU from your perspective?
So we transferred to Children's at 7 months in. So we spent the bulk elsewhere. And I will say the very first night that Olivia came to Children's, the team made some bed changes, and we'd already been working with the Children's team anyways, even at our second hospital. Olivia flew here. So like, again, I think our experience, my experience with coming to Children's was nothing but like amazing. Everyone was incredibly supportive. We spent 1 month in the NICU and 1 month on the call floor. Olivia transitioned to the home vent on her first try. Like, it was magic for us. I felt like the team's communication was really great. We were already so far along in our journey though, that we weren't rookies anymore. So I think had we transferred sooner, I probably would have better, more approachable feedback.
Okay, we're gonna play this video.
Oh, yeah, you guys get to see the video.
The struggles of the pandemic and vaccine mandates have caused many nurses to look into other fields of work. And that's bad news for families who need their services the most. Virtual family working around the clock to care for their newborn.
This is Olivia.
Olivia is a medical miracle.
She was born on December 8th at only 27 weeks, so about 3 months early.
And the lovely one of that.
Olivia is actually the happiest baby. She's very curious, she's smart, she's really strong-willed.
With critically underdeveloped lungs, her parents, Catherine and Gary, didn't know if she'd even make it out of the hospital.
I would say the first 7 months, she was fairly unstable. And then kind of came through the darkness and started figuring out the care plan that she needed.
But now she's rolling and crawling around at home with some special assistance from machines like this.
This is her ventilator.
You literally have turned what should be our dining room into a NICU.
A NICU at home.
She needs someone awake 24 hours a day.
There isn't a single nurse to accommodate the in-home care Olivia needs, so the life-saving 24/7 job falls on them.
So we do shifts. So at night, I do the first shift and Catherine does the second shift. So we switch at 2 a.m.
Nursing shortages at major hospitals create even more severe shortages of nurses who do in-home care. The shortages existed before the pandemic. Now, the Knights say it has become impossible to find anything close to in-home medical assistance.
They say it takes a village.
So they reached out to their online village to see if anyone can help.
The response has been unbelievable. There are so many families out there that are going through the same struggle.
Their posts shared more than 500 times with lots of support,
We have had so many people reach out.
but they still haven't found a nurse.
I go back to work on October 25th.
Whatever happens, they're thankful Olivia's home and getting better.
Things have turned for us. Hopefully.
And thankful to have an online village helping to find a solution.
Now, all of a sudden, we have a community kind of rallying behind Olivia.
And maybe, just maybe, a way to get this miracle baby the care she needs. Sloan Dickey, Denver 7th.
Yeah.
Going in, as an inpatient provider, I don't think I've ever seen images of the home of our medically complex graduates. That was amazing. And I think it was actually my first time seeing that. Just curious to know your experience in creating that place for her and your family at home, and just how do you even do that?
Do you want to share?
I think that might worth too. Oh, great, yes, I'm supposed to hear you.
something that I found really helpful was actually reaching out to other medically complex families and asking for advice. So talking to families about, okay, Olivia's room is technically upstairs. We have a dining room that's downstairs. We have a ventilator and a concentrator and all of these things that need to go up and downstairs every single day. Does that actually make sense? So outreaching to that online community, getting best practices from other families. It might not always work for every single family, but that is one thing that we definitely did. Also initially, like I said, we came home with no nursing. So coming home with no nursing, we needed to figure out a place where we could put Olivia, where we could still be within like arm's reach of her if there was a medical emergency, but also still try to like function as normal as possible as a family, given that we also had another daughter who required less medical care, but still the same mom-dad environment. So that was really important to us to have Olivia someplace where she could still be a part of the day to day. We could still get things done while she was napping. But if she decided to be a stinker and disconnect her vent, we could be there before we needed to start bagging her or whatever the case may be.